Pleasure to be here with my teacher, Rabbi Yitz. Rabbi Yitz, how was Mussar learning impactful for you?
Well, let me put it this way. The founder of the Mussar movement, a movement of character development, human trait development, 19th century that sought to renew Judaism. The founder once said, he was asked, what is the Torah about? He said, the Torah came to make a mensch. That is to say, to make a human being, and to make a full human being. And that's a very important corrective. In other words, you think of religion, well, I have to observe these laws, or I have to worship God, or I have to... His point was no, that the Torah's main concern is how the human being becomes human. And part of being human is to be ethical or responsible, or to have a sense of continuity and responsibility for the world and for life, and so on. It'll be part of the mission of the Jewish people. But it starts with and is built on this idea that to make a human being into a human being. So the focus is not just on learning texts or on even particular observances. It's on how do you develop the person's character. How do you become a more responsible person? How do you become a more patient, understanding person? How you develop an inner conscience and things of this sort. So Mussar said we have to study and work on. It's both study texts that focus in on personal development, that focus in on personal responsibility, on how you treat your fellow human beings and how you deal with the laws between human beings, what's called mitzvah no lechaver. So I found, and it turns out that when you work on it, it makes a difference. In other words, you don't just assume it comes out of interrelationships or out of text study. It comes out of conscious awareness. So, for example, one of the things in my yeshiva, they were called avad. They'd have like a committee of group would meet, people who want to work on their character, and would say we want to work on learning more patience, or we want to work on being kinder and more aware of people's needs and helping them. And they would literally do that. In other words, you'd keep a journal, you would meet once a week or once a couple of weeks, and you'd review what did you do, what were the challenges, where did you fail, where did you see somebody had a need and you didn't have time or you didn't have patience or didn't have interest. And people would feed back to you what you thought you had done, and they would say, well, that's not the way I see it. So it turns out that if you work on your character, you can really affect it.
So just one question. One of the classical midot that doesn't seem to exist is courage. So there's not a lot of literature on how you develop courage. Any eitzah, any wisdom on if somebody says, I lack courage in my life, how they might develop that?
Well, I think I'd have two thoughts. One is get a group that stands with you and confirms with you. In other words, where if you take a risk or you want to do something with courage, they will back you, they will encourage you, they'll tell you to take the risk, and they will, understand and justify or strengthen your judgment in this area. That's one. I think the other, bluntly, as I say, is you develop courage by exercising it. It's like a muscle. You take a stand, see something that's important to you, and again, maybe you don't start too far ahead of yourself, but something that takes sticking your neck out a little bit, and do that first. And if it works, and you're able to accomplish something you otherwise wouldn't have accomplished, then you go on, you push it further, and you push it further. So as I say, it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the more you'll get it. And in general, the whole concept of Mussar was that people should consciously become aware that this is a dimension of personal life and of religious life, to develop your character, to develop your personality.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.